Before the bell rang, the aura arrived. Chris Eubank Sr. didn't just enter a ring. He commanded it, chin high, voice calm, eyes unshaken. A fighter who spoke like a philosopher and punched like a thunderclap. Undefeated for a decade at world level. A two-weight world champion who didn't chase respect. He expected it. Every uppercut carried intention. Every stare broke confidence. Eubank didn't overwhelm opponents with chaos. He dismantled them with discipline, timing, and absolute belief. And when the gloves came off, the same dominance followed him home. Convoys of luxury cars, tailored suits worn like armor, mansions, elegance, and a lifestyle built on self-worth, not noise. So, before we step into the mind, the power, and the unapologetic greatness of Chris Eubank Sr., smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because this isn't just boxing history. This is class, confidence, and combat perfected. Before the world ever called him simply the best, Chris Eubank Sr. was just a restless boy being shaped by survival. Born on August 8, 1966, in Dulwich, South London, stability was never part of the plan. Poverty surrounded him, discipline chased him, and trouble found him often. School became a battlefield rather than a refuge. Suspensions stacked up, authority was challenged, and by his teens, he was expelled altogether. At 16, with his future hanging in the balance, his father made a final, desperate move, sending him to the harsh streets of New York's South Bronx, a place that either broke you or forged you. It forged him. In that unforgiving environment, boxing became more than violence. It became order. More than fighting, it became purpose. When he turned professional in 1985, few could have imagined what would follow. For a full decade, he was untouchable, undefeated, unbroken, and mentally miles ahead of his rivals. In 1990, he shocked Britain by stopping Nigel Benn in a ferocious war to claim the WBO middleweight title, igniting one of the greatest rivalries in boxing history. Moving up to super-middleweight, he didn't chase greatness, he imposed it, ruling the division for years with intelligence, durability, and psychological warfare that unsettled even the most dangerous punchers. 24 world title fights, 2 weight divisions conquered, and a chin so unyielding it became legend. Yet behind the championships and the millions earned, the financial story took a different turn. Today, his net worth is estimated about $2.5 million. A reminder that greatness in the ring doesn't always guarantee security outside it. So how did a boy from Peckham rise to dominate an era? When Eubank turned professional shortly after his 19th birthday, there was no hype waiting for him. His early fights passed quietly, but beneath the surface, his belief never wavered. He studied opponents, sharpened his mind as much as his fists, and slowly built momentum. Everything changed in 1989 when he defeated Anthony Logan on a major undercard, an opponent who had pushed Nigel Benn to the brink. From that moment on, his focus narrowed. He moved to Brighton, claimed it as home, and set his sights on Benn with an almost unsettling certainty that he could beat him. Fight by fight, stoppage by stoppage, that confidence grew louder. In 1990, the prediction became reality. Against the odds, Eubank stepped into the ring with Benn and turned chaos into control. It was a brutal, draining battle, but when Benn was stopped late, British boxing changed overnight. Eubank was world champion. He defended the title with composure and resilience, edging out challengers, surviving adversity, and completing an unbeaten middleweight run that ended at 28-0. Yet instead of settling, he moved up in weight, chasing something harder, legacy. That pursuit came at a cost. Then came September 1991, a night that would haunt Eubank forever. Facing Michael Watson for the vacant WBO super middleweight title, he found himself behind on all scorecards, knocked down, and staring at defeat. In a sudden surge, he landed a decisive uppercut and won the fight, but the victory came at a terrifying cost. Watson suffered severe, near-fatal brain damage, spending months in a coma and undergoing multiple surgeries. Though Watson eventually made a remarkable recovery, Eubank would later admit that night changed him profoundly. The instinct to finish fights with ferocity had fractured. From then on, he fought differently, cautious, calculated, and haunted. As champion again, Eubank became a spectacle as much as a boxer. He vaulted over the ropes, dressed like an aristocrat, spoke with deliberate poise, and entered to simply the best. Some admired him, many resented him. He leaned into it, playing the villain with intelligence and intent. Inside the ring, he defended his title again and again, choosing precision over punishment. Outside it, headlines followed his every word. The rivalry with Nigel Benn returned on an even bigger stage. Their unification bout, billed as Judgment Day, ended in a draw, less savage than their first war, but just as symbolic. Eubank continued on, signing a massive television deal and defending his crown across Britain and beyond. For years, he stood at the top, unbroken. But time inevitably arrived. In 1995, Steve Collins outworked him, and the title slipped away. A rematch brought the same result. For the first time, he stepped away. Yet walking away never truly suited him. He returned, chasing one last summit. On short notice, he faced a young Joe Calzaghe for a vacant world title, absorbing punishment but refusing to fall. Even in defeat, his resolve earned new respect. Then came one final gamble, moving up again, testing his limits at cruiserweight. The battles with Carl Thompson were punishing, demanding everything Eubank had left. In the end, his body stopped where his would not. It was the only time he was halted in a career that spanned divisions, decades, and eras. When the gloves finally came off, his record told one story, but not the whole one. The bigger question lingered. Who was Chris Eubank beyond the ring? His life unfolded far from the spectacle of the ring. In December 1990, he married Karen in Brighton, beginning a family that would anchor him through triumphs and tragedies alike. Together, they had 4 children, but even before this marriage, Eubank had an elder son, Nathaniel, a reminder of the complex layers of his private world. The family would occasionally step into the public eye, starring in television programs that offered fleeting glimpses of life behind the headlines. Yet his personal journey was not without turbulence. In 1992, a tragic car accident claimed a life and left him legally accountable, a haunting reminder that even heroes can falter outside the ring. Years later, his marriage ended in divorce, and a second brief marriage to manager Claire Geary would also dissolve. Through it all, he sought ways to honor his roots, adopting the nickname English in 2015 to commemorate his late father and distinguish himself from his rising son, Chris Jr. Even after the roar of the crowd faded, his life continued like a scene from a meticulously crafted film. Every detail deliberate, every gesture theatrical. Known for his dapper suits, polished riding boots, silver-tipped cane, and even a monocle, Eubank carried the aura of an English aristocrat transported into modern Britain. He didn't merely own a lifestyle. He performed it, turning streets, events, and even casual appearances into stages for his unmistakable persona. At the height of his career, he lived in elegant Brighton homes that reflected the same precision and flair as his public image. Polished wood interiors, refined decor, and a sense of old-world sophistication created spaces that mirrored his disciplined, almost philosophical approach to life. Even when financial fluctuations forced adjustments, he maintained comfort and dignity, proving that his style was as much about character as it was about wealth. And then there were the vehicles, symbols of his larger-than-life identity. While not a collector of flashy supercars, Eubank made statements with every machine he drove. His massive American-style truck became an extension of his personality, as instantly recognizable as his vault over the ropes or his iconic ring entrances. Classic British cars, custom vehicles, and motorbikes rounded out a collection that spoke of individuality over opulence and showmanship over horsepower. For Chris Eubank, retirement wasn't an ending, it was a transformation. Freed from training camps and title defenses, he fully embraced the persona the public had always found impossible to ignore. With his aristocratic tone, deliberate lisp, and unmistakable style, Eubank became less a retired boxer and more a living performance. Dressed like an English gentleman from another era, cane in hand, driving machines as oversized as his presence, he moved through modern Britain on his own terms. Some mocked it, others admired it, but no one ignored him. Fame followed him into this new chapter. He became a fixture of British pop culture, parodied, photographed, invited into fashion, advertising, music, and television. He didn't merely appear on screen. He dominated it, hosting radio shows, starring in reality television, and allowing cameras deep into his private world. To many, he was entertaining and eccentric. To others, puzzling and provocative. But beneath the spectacle was a man fiercely determined to live authentically, even when public opinion turned against him. Yet there was more beneath the surface. Away from the noise, Eubank invested his own money into housing for the homeless in Brighton, preserving dignity where few were looking. Years after one of boxing's darkest nights, he walked beside Michael Watson for the final mile of a marathon, an unspoken act of accountability, respect, and reconciliation that revealed a quieter side rarely seen. That same defiance soon found a political voice. Turning his truck into a rolling protest, Eubank publicly opposed war and power, accepting arrest and fines without apology. For him, it was simply another fight, this time without gloves. Then reality struck hard. In 2009, bankruptcy exposed the fragile side of fame and fortune. But once again, he adapted, designing suits, serving as a gambling awareness ambassador, and re-emerging alongside his son, bridging generations. Through every rise and fall, one truth remained. Chris Eubank never stopped being himself. Before you go, don't miss out on exclusive perks. Click the link in the description to become a channel member and enjoy awesome benefits, like suggesting future video topics, getting early access to new content 48 hours before anyone else, and much more. Your support means the world and helps us keep bringing you the stories you love. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. And while you're here, why not check out our deep dive into Sugar Ray Leonard's video? Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.